up a nation.
Sorry for interjecting, that's all.
And through this gathering,
Well, I think
you have revealed your
if you
glory
can
to
add
all of
this
us as a
further,
people
but,
of Kenya.
for practical purposes,
God of power and
but I
might,
think the LSSK
wisdom and
needs to
justice,
still appeal that thing so
through
that,
you
that
authority is
restriction
rightly
not imposed.
administered.
But for the current parliament,
Laws
that
are
restriction does not apply,
enacted
except
like the
for when we
Independent
go towards the
Electoral
close and the
and
fact that
Boundaries
we already
Commission
attempt one
Amendment Bill
twice and we are
2024
so that's
that is
what
being
I think
assented into law today,
in terms of that.
and judgment is decreed.
What was the other question?
Assist with
On
your
the legally
spirit of
obtained
counsel,
evidence, is it time to move an
fortitude,
amendment
and
to
good
the Evidence
health
Act and to the Ethics
to our
and Anti-Corruption
President
Act so that even
and
if
all
it's an
those who
exception
help
only
him
on
to
matters
lead our
corruption,
nation
we have an exception
and to
that,
the path
you
of
can use this
national
evidence
renewal
regardless of how
and
it was acquired,
transformation,
because corrupt people will not come and
especially
give
at
you
this
evidence of
special
them being
time
corrupt.
in our nation,
Yes, that's
that ease administration may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to your people over whom he presides. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct all men and women who will be involved with our electoral process and shine forth in all these processes all that will promote national happiness, preserve peace, good governance, and continue to bring us blessings of liberty and equality. We pray for leaders in both the three arms of government, members of the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, all the members of the opposition, elected civil officials, and all others who are entrusted to guard our political welfare. May they be enabled by your powerful protection to discharge their duties with honesty and ability. We likewise commend to your unbounded mercy all citizens of this beautiful nation, that we be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your holy laws, and that we may constantly participate in the civic duty in a special way, the electoral process in which this new law will facilitate. In all we do as a nation, we ask you, Lord, may we be preserved in union, and that peace which the world cannot give, and after enjoying the blessing of this life, we may be admitted to those which are eternal. We pray to you, who are Lord and God, forever and ever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
We need also to demarcate
Your Excellency,
constitutional proceedings
you may kindly take your seat.
away from the ordinary civil proceedings.
Your Excellency, the President,
criminal
Your
proceedings.
Excellency, the Deputy President,
The failure to separate
the
constitutional
Prime
proceedings
Cabinet Secretary,
from ordinary civil
the leadership
proceedings
of both
is the
houses
other
of
problem we are
Parliament,
having.
the former Prime Minister,
That largely
the former Vice
constitutional
President,
proceedings are handled
all
under the
leaders
civil
present,
procedures,
distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
which are
This state
limited to
ceremony
an
is
extent that are
convened
protecting individuals.
pursuant to Article
Constitutional proceedings
115
are
of the
public law.
Constitution
The government has no
for the
rights.
presidential assent
Rights belong to
of the
people.
Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission
The government
Amendment Bill,
has only the
National
mandate, duty, hold,
Assembly
duty
Bill
bearer
number 10 of
when
2024.
where rights are involved.
The bill was considered
So
and
that
passed by both houses of
that
Parliament,
provision can be
with the Senate
ring-fenced,
granting its
that
seal
constitutional
of approval
proceedings,
on 17th June
how evidence is
2024, followed by the National Assembly on 20th June
is not
2024.
important. What's
The
important
bill establishes a roadmap for kick-starting
is what does
the process
evidence bring to
of
the case.
recruitment of the chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Additionally, the bill expands the criteria for eligibility to serve as members of the Commission by adding expertise in accounting or information and communication technology to the existing professional qualification, which include electoral affairs, management, finance, governance, public administration, and law. Your Excellency, with both houses of Parliament having discharged their lawmaking mandate, Your Excellency, as the head of state and government, is most graciously invited to exercise your presidential prerogative as vested in you by Article 115 of the Constitution to assent to this legislation. Your Excellency, sir, permit me to now invite the Clerk of the National Assembly to convey the vellum copies of the bill for Your Excellency's presidential assent. The clerk.
Riots and the disobedience of those orders and how the...
Your Excellency, these vellum copies have the consent of the Speaker of the Houses of Parliament to present these vellum copies before you for your assent. This bill, Your Excellency, is the first bill to anchor the resolutions of the Houses of Parliament with respect to the NADCO report. You recall, Your Excellency, the NADCO report was authored by a committee which was led by the former Vice President, Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka, and the leader of Majority Party in the National Assembly, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. The Houses of Parliament adopted the report, both of them, and thereafter the attendant bills were published, the first one being the IEBC Amendment Bill, which was initially introduced and passed by in the National Assembly in the month of May, sent to the Senate, and the Senate also passed it on 11th of June with amendments, and the amendments passed by the Senate were approved by the National Assembly on the 20th of June. Your Excellency, this bill gives a roadmap to the formation of the IEBC. It commences with the IEBC selection panel, which will now comprise of 9 persons who are to be nominated in a competitive and transparent process by certain bodies, first of them being the Parliamentary Service Commission, which is required to nominate 2 persons. The political parties liaison committee is required also to nominate 3 persons. Law Society of Kenya, 1 person. There's 1 person to be nominated by the ICPAC, and 2 persons to be nominated by the Interreligious Council. The bodies which are nominating more than 2 persons, Your Excellency, are required to also observe the 2/3 gender rule, so as to ensure that the completeness of the panel observes the 2/3 gender rule as required under our Constitution. The bill, Your Excellency, also amends certain provisions relating to the term of the Secretary to the Commission, giving the Secretary a term of 4 years, renewable once. Your Excellency, the bill also amends certain provisions relating to facilitation of IEBC with respect to its role on delimitation of boundaries, Your Excellency. Allow me to join the rest.
The way elections are done, that the presidential election
Your Excellency, Article 135 of the Constitution requires every presidential action to be under the hand and seal of the President. Sir, permit me now to invite you to affix the public seal of the Republic
for this country if the people of Kenya think I'm the best candidate within the particular moment to do so. But we must work and get ourselves to that point whereby we have tamper-proof elections that can be declared in real time without those who cook election having time to manipulate and interfere with the elections. That could be my answer.
Afro, I have another question to the Senator. Can I proceed?
We need to get someone to ask a question. Let me ask.
Let me just ask, because it is the issue that the issue aliongelea, and I really want to get it done. So can I proceed?
Okay, please ask one last question. We have many people.
Okay, then just a minute. Okia Umtata, you talked about Busia airstrip. There is this area from Busia, Kwanzia, Tanaka. From Tanaka, when you go all the way to Roadblock, that area is where we term it as the airstrip. But the area right now have people building on that land, yet it is government land. People have grabbed it. As the Senator, what are you doing to ensure that we still have an airstrip in Busia? The other issue is if you go to Busia Korinda area, there is this area in Korinda where the government had moved market just opposite Busia prisons. that market since then has never been functional because there are people who wanted to get rent from those people that were buying shops. I tried to purchase a shop there in I tried to purchase a shop there in 2022, but 2021, 2022, but I was not successful because I was told, bring money so that we can give you a shop. They were asking for 150,000 to give me a kiosk, that place. I declined and bought a shop just close to Roadblock. The other last question is, Okiya Omtata, right now we are having a revolution whereby the president was speaking about budgets and borrowing. Don't you think you legislators are earning a lot of money which should be cut at least to around 250,000 shillings per legislator so that we can create more jobs and create more income for the country? Because we have to live by our means.
Your Excellency,
we should not go out borrowing.
in a symbolic display of the interdependence between the legislature and the executive in the management and public affairs,
Thanks.
I kindly request
I think
that you hand over a copy of the Act to His Excellency the Deputy President,
trying to put a question
Attorney
to
General
Hannah.
for publication into law,
Are you ready to
the speakers
to
of both
give your
houses
comment?
of
I can see
Parliament,
Mariam also has her hand up.
the former Prime Minister,
Yes, thank you, Afrocentric and Chege. I
the
think you
former
couldn't hear
Vice
me,
President,
so I had to drop out and come back. Thank you,
as
Afro.
well as
Senator, thank
the
you
leadership
for a
of both
very
houses from the
informative and
majority
lengthy
and minority parties.
description and discussion on matters that you were asked. But in regards to the last question,
Your
if I may
Excellency,
start
you'll
there, but
open.
I wanted to talk about something else. There is no safeguarding the evidence. I don't think would do anything much if we are not giving any incentives to the whistleblowers. That's number one. Number two, whistleblower protection. If the whistleblowers are not protected, then you would not have many people who have any reason to come forward with this. So I don't know why that up to now there is actually in the law, there is no provisions for the whistleblower. There is no protection for those whistleblowers. Because if there was, I believe
Your
we would
Excellency,
have more
you are most
whistleblowers and
graciously
maybe
invited to
things
make
will
a
not
few
get as
remarks. I
ugly
thank
as
you,
they
Excellency.
have. Now that said and done, there was the petition that you said send it to you or bring it to you, that petition has already been brought to the House. And I'm sorry, Kenyans, but I don't know. Why do we have proportion representation if those women rep are not actually working on matters to do with women?
Your Excellency is the former Prime Minister and former Vice President.
They're there
all
and they're
distinguished
supposed to be
guests,
at the
including
center
honorable speakers.
of
Your Excellency,
legislations
you are
making that
assent
affect
to the
directly
IEBC
or
amendment
indirectly
bill,
affecting women.
being the
So
first of
for
the
me,
National
I
Dialogue
think that
Committee,
also is a failure. I don't know how other
report
women in
bills,
Kenya feel.
one of the 9
but
bills, Your
I
Excellency,
think it's a
marks
man's
the
world
beginning
out
of a
there.
very important
Yes,
process
the
to our
government
country
have tried. They've
in the
put,
reconstitution of a new
they've
IEBC
said
Commission.
women representation,
Your Excellency,
proportion
let me take this
representation.
opportunity
They've allocated
to
some
assure
seats for
you
us.
and the country
This was
that
actually
all the other
Western,
8 bills
propagated.
that
But is
emanated
it
from
still
the
delivering
NADCO
for
report
women? I do
are in
not
process in
think
both
so. If
houses.
this
We had
bill is
divided
there
the
with the
bills
woman
between the two
Senate
houses of
and
Parliament.
it's still
I want
not
to
being
give
touched,
all of
there's
you
a lot of
assurances
decisions and
of
there are a
both
lot
houses that we shall
policies
expedite in the
surrounding
processing of
women's
these
rights
bills
that the
with top
government,
priority. Your
the
Excellency, in
people who
conclusion,
are,
let me just say
representing
that
women
this
are
assent
actually
of
not
this
on
bill
most of those
not only
caucuses.
marks
And if
a
they're
hallmark
there,
in our
they are
nation's
actually overpowered by
endeavor
the men
to
in those
reconstitute a new
caucuses. So I don't
IEBC,
know how
but also
our
buttresses the
representation in
importance
this,
of dialogue
houses
in our
where the
country,
legislations
because
are
these
made,
bills have emanated from a
is
process
helping
where
us
we
because
all
we
came
would
together
see
as a
some
country
caucus are
to
more
dialogue,
men
and
than
through
women,
dialogue
and
we've
these
been able
were
to surmount
decisions
most of
that
the
are being
challenges
made
that
that
faced
affect
our
women
country at
directly
the
or
time we
indirectly
came
more
together
than
as
the men,
NADCO.
and women
And I
are
am
not
certain, Your
there,
Excellency,
despite
even
the
now and moving
allocation
forward,
of seats for women.
this signifies
So
that
back
new
to you,
move that through dialogue we can talk to each
Senator,
other
thank
and
you
be able
very
to
much.
surmount all the challenges that bedevil our country. With those few
Maria?
remarks, Your Excellency, allow me to invite my co-chair,
Oh, thank you.
our
Thanks
former
a lot.
Vice President,
Good morning,
who
Afro
co-chaired
Centric.
with me the
Now, I
NADCO
had
process,
two questions.
to give his brief remarks.
One of them was when it comes to the county budgets, kindly, Senator, how much of it is allocated to salaries? That is, yeah, I would want to know how much of it is allocated to the wages and operational issues. And then the second question I had was around
Mr. President,
you know, when we're talking
Honorable
about
William
corruption, we talk
Samoei
about it
Arap
very
Ruto,
vaguely, but we don't pinpoint where the money
Prime
is
Minister
lost
Raila Odinga,
when we
both
say
core
corruption.
principles of the
I think most of the
NADCO
money is usually lost in
process.
procurement. So, do
Ladies
they
and
use
gentlemen,
County Procurement Act, or do
I
they
didn't
use
find
a
it
National
easy to come in here
Procurement Act?
this morning,
And I really hope he could answer
for various
me
reasons,
so that I can give a follow-up
one of
question.
which was the
And the next thing
barricading
I wanted to ask him
of
is
the
how
route
can he
to
streamline
KICC.
the
is done by
But I must thank the organizers
it's not come to
for having
the
brought it
act
to
itself.
KICC,
yeah.
because if it was a
So,
state house,
is it
Mr.
possible
President,
for
it
us
would
to
even have
have
been a
it on
little
county
harder.
level? Because, for example, when
The
I'm
reason
looking
is
at your
simple.
portal right now,
Our
I'm not able
country
to
is at a
access your tender
crossroads.
documents because they're restricted. And
My
we know
colleague,
that the
Honorable
counties lose
Kimani
a lot
Ichung'wa,
of money in
has
of course,
highlighted
wages
that we,
and in the procurement. And
both
how
of
they
you
lose it
asked
in the
us
procurement
to
is in the inflated
undertake
bills because
the
of
process of
kickbacks
NADCO
and all that. And we know why people do kickbacks.
following
So
the
is it possible to streamline the
2023
Procurement Act on the
enactment of the
county
Finance
level?
Bill
And
and
number two,
the
is it
riots that
possible
took
to have
place,
your budget
where we
uploaded
lost
on a-
people,
on a
75
portal
of
that is
them,
open to everyone? And
property
then
was
all
destroyed,
the tenders that are won
and the country was
to
in
be
a
put
state of
on
a
the
shock.
portal, actually, the three
We
top
undertook
tenders so
that
they can be open
responsibility
to public scrutiny. So
with
that if
gusto.
there's anything that has been inflated,
And we are
people
very
can actually challenge
open-minded.
it, and they can be withdrawn
As
from,
Azimio la Umoja One
that tender
Kenya,
process.
our
Is it
number
possible
one
to do
topic
that?
was the
I
high
think
cost
that's really
of
one
living.
way of streamlining
Makimani and the team on
corruption
Kenya Kwanza
issue
convinced
on a
us
county level. So my first question
that
to you
it was a government
what
responsibility,
percentage
and the
of your
opposition
budget
had
goes
nothing to
the
do
wage?
with discussing
Can
the
you answer me
high
now,
cost
please,
of
so that I
living.
can ask a follow-up question?
I hope that in the light of recent
The wage should not
developments,
be more than 35% of the entire
my
budget.
friend Kimani would have revised
And
that thought.
development
Because again,
expenditure-
2024,
I'm sorry, no, I've asked you a very specific
Finance
question
Act
because I know that only 11
and the
counties
riots, and
are able
again
to
we have
adhere to
lost
the
41
35% threshold
young
that has
Kenyans.
been recommended. And
This
your
time
country
they
is not
came
among
in the
them.
form of
So
Gen
what
Z,
percent
but they are
of-
Kenyans. They have a right to belong.
No, he already
In
said
fact,
it
they are
was
carrying the
supposed to be.
national
Check it.
flags.
He
They
said
have
it
done
was
it
supposed
better
to
than
be,
we did
But I've asked him how much is it.
when some of us nearly got killed. Mr. President,
Yeah, no, I think I've gotten her question.
I
My
want to
count is not among
urge
them. I think my count is in the 40s.
that
about
we look at
48%,
our country
but you don't have the
afresh.
latest audit, because the audit that you have
There's
placed
no
on
way
the
we can wish away
control of budget is at
the Gen Z
2021,
revolution.
2021.
And if we were to
That's the one
begin
I've been able
to be honest with
scrutinize.
ourselves,
I'm currently
perhaps we need now to go back to Bomas, because during the presentations, Kimani and Cheruyot may remember,
2023, 2024 budget.
and Wandai
Because
was
even,
deputizing me, that a lot of Kenyans wanted us to open this space. The space has been opened by Gen Z. I wish we had moved with speed. It has taken inordinate delay to get to where we are today, to get the first product out of NADCO.
To be able
And I'm not so sure,
to do a forensic audit
my friend Kimani, whether it is
of what we have been able to
it is
get,
expected
what
of
we have
us
been able to get illegally, and
to
at the
even
level
fast
from
track the other
treasury
8. They have to be
and from
juxtaposed by the
county,
reality
some officials have given us some
of
documents. So we are subjecting them to a public audit.
the country
And I was telling you that in that public audit
and
we were
this
trying to- we are having a
new
budget of
revolt.
about 2.3 billion.
If we are not careful, all of us will get thrown out by the Gen Zs, because they say we have come of age. You say that we are leaders of tomorrow, we are leaders now. We can't wish them away. Therefore, I want to urge that we now look at the whole thing. For example, we have now set up the process of nominating new commissioners. We made it very clear that both you, Mr. President, Mr. Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, will have to agree on, perhaps most importantly, on who becomes the chair of the new IEBC. That principle of consultation was inbuilt, and I thank my colleagues because we didn't have to struggle much to agree. But now is the time. The country is at a crossroads. Can we, for a beginning, even in order to bring the country to normalcy, can you, Mr. President, order the Inspector General of Police? If he doesn't resign, can he remove the police from the streets? Can the army get out of our streets and back to the barracks? I thank you.
That done by the Public Service Commission. I don't know. Could be a wrong proposal, but there's a problem in employment across the country. And given the failure to have industries to industrialize this
Thank
country,
you, Your Excellency, former Vice President. I now have the honor to invite the former Prime Minister, Your Excellency, Honorable Raila Odinga, to give his remarks. Thereafter, invite His Excellency the
President. Come and invest and create jobs. There are very, very many opportunities, even in Busia, for this kind of things.
Your Excellency,
but you find that they are not tough.
My brother, President William Samuel Ruto.
What remains is that the county
all
government
distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are here this morning.
If I look at in real terms, I think Busia
we have come here today
is performing under
a very solemn occasion
of the revenue, because a lot of revenue is being lost.
And I'm happy that this function has been arranged
There's
to
no way
take
that
place here
Busia
at
County
KICC.
Council, before the constitution came in,
as my colleague Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka
something
said,
up to 800 million shillings
we
in collection
are at a crossroads as a country.
The county government came in.
And times like this requires
we are now doing about 100 million
leadership.
a year, 100 to 200 million a year.
The country to move forward.
If you compare to the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Kenya Revenue Authority was almost at par with the county council is doing about
doing today is a culmination of a process that began sometime last year.
So it's not acceptable.
When President Olusegun Obasanjo came to mediate and the conflict that was raging on at that time, we agreed when we sat together, myself and Brother William Ruto, that we would
money is collected,
follow the route of dialogue.
Never get to the county coffers.
And that is the reason why NADCO was set up.
Should not have accounts
NADCO proceeded to dialogue.
I think Busia has got more than 20 accounts
and ended up with a very voluminous report,
so, and
which has contained some very fundamental recommendations.
So to me, I think that in real terms,
this bill that has now been signed into the law today
we are performing at around 20%
is just one of those.
Because if you look at the figures of the county
but
government,
the NADCO report contains very many issues which are at the heart of the people of Kenya today.
It's not acceptable that the county government should be collecting.
If you see the issues which are being raised by our youth,
which had less business,
most of them are actually contained in the NADCO report.
The opportunities were less.
But if this NADCO report is implemented fully, you'll be able to address all those issues which these young people are raising.
Busia County should be collecting over $1 billion shillings. Even
We
the information from the
are, as I've said, at a very, very crucial juncture in our history of our country.
Should be collecting over $1 billion shillings. And I believe they collect
our
over
country
$1 billion shillings. But
has moved
never get
forward. There have been highs and lows in our history, 61 years.
As I told you that the maps in Kakamega, I think that totally
needed to move forward.
I don't know, I'm not a land surveyor.
And I want to say that,
I had to
at this moment in time, my brother,
the
that
survey of Kenya to get the maps that could show
we
that
require now
head and earth.
a wider engagement.
There are very many things
that people have an opportunity
to come and put
to vomit
prison in Corinda, right inside town. Why do you have a prison
all
in
that
town?
is there in the chest,
It is sitting on about
in order
50
that
acres
we
of
can
land.
be able to find a way
Why should a
forward.
prison sit on 50 acres of land inside town?
I therefore want
And
to
this is a town that is a
support
border town that
the
cannot
proposal
go
of my
forward
brother
and cannot
Stephen
go
Kalonzo Musyoka that
backwards into Kenya. So why
we
should
have
prison
this conversation.
50
It may
acres
not
of
take
land
more
in
than 2
CBD?
weeks.
The prison needs to also be
But
relocated.
it brings all the
somewhere else where it
stakeholders
can, be of use.
together.
Because
Today,
and
our
then
society
the land be released to enterprise.
is fairly
So,
stratified.
case I have...
Nearly 70% of our population is below the age
of
35.
As I told you, I did a research
the
in
youth.
1962. The question
If you
was that
say that
Parliament
between 35 and 18 constitute about 40%, we need that 40% to be present when this dialogue is taking place.
For the same land,
And then the rest
Kenya government
can fill the
land
rest.
as an airstrip. It should
And
compensate
then we
people.
just talk
There's a
about the
report of
Kenya we
Parliament,
want.
a committee of Parliament that sat and made that
The Kenya we want.
so to overcome that, and
convention.
these things were brought to Parliament, to court.
Out of that will come out recommendations
I had to go
that will
back
help
and
us
look
to
at the
resolve this
records
issue once and
outside
for all.
Government records. And I was able to
And that will be my proposal.
a very, very clear narrative
I think that
that shows
Kenya
that
deserves
Kenya
better.
did not just have
The
one
issues
airstrip
of
in Busia town.
employment,
It had an airstrip in Fuyula.
the issues
It had an
of
airstrip at Amukura,
discrimination,
which have all been grabbed.
the issues of corruption,
So, out of that, I was able to get
issues
that
of
when
gender,
the hospital was made a regional center
and so on,
for
are
diseases
issues that
covering
need to be
East and Central
addressed
Africa,
in
as
the
a
wider
center of
forum.
excellence for diseases. There was need for that airstrip there.
I think that it is
and the local
possible
people
to
donated
do.
the land. They were not even paid
It
for
is
the
possible
land. It was not a compulsory
if there is a will.
They donated
to
the
do
land.
it.
They were only paid for cassava.
And then here again,
What do I
the
pay? 1
IEBC
cent
is a very important
per cassava
institution. It's not
And
the
that's how
first
they
time
needed the
we've
land,
had
the
issues with
colonial
IEBC.
And an airstrip was
If
established.
we find a solution to
serving
this
the people.
issue of
When
IEBC,
an aircraft crashed in the
it will be,
is it 2013?
it will be on the way to resolving very many issues in our country.
2013, no, 2 or 3. When an aircraft crashed in 2 or 3.
You will remember
That's when
last,
machinations came up and people began
the
saying
last
that the airstrip was
elections,
not viable, what have you, what
the
have
whole
you.
world was stunned
And people grabbed that land.
when we saw an
and they
election
were
commission that was
then
completely
they
divided.
condemned the land, facilitated the grabbers to take
Some
over,
saying one thing,
and
others
then
saying
they
one
put on
thing.
land which was available, which had been set aside.
You may
for
be
Busia
happy
Sugar
that,
Factory.
oh, that's group
It was
ruled in my favor.
843 acres
But what
of
example are
land.
we showing the world
They looked at that land.
as a country?
They went and grabbed that land,
That in the
Then they
process of
condemned
very
the
important
airstrip.
exercise,
and they went to
the commission is divided.
Kenya
Nobody
Airport Authority.
knows whom to believe.
No, to Kenya
Up to
Airport
today.
Authority, and struck a deal
It is
to
a
have
shame
the land, the airport authority buy
And we are
the
sure that we have got
land,
men and
the
women
surface
here in
land,
this country
the 843 acres of land from
who can
them,
actually do
so that they
a
could
better
locate
job.
the airstrip from the Busia town.
And that will
The
help to
land
unify
they are
this
going to
country.
get 1.2 billion shillings in that transaction.
Last year,
So when I intervened
we lost 75
and
precious
blocked that
lives.
transaction, and we was able
This
to
year we
recover
lost
the
another
843
over
acres of
40
land and restored it.
lives.
I even went one
To say nothing about those who have been
High Court,
wounded,
the Court of Appeal.
been hurt.
I went and processed the title deed.
We
and I called
must
the county
prevent
commissioner
this
and
from
handed over
happening
the
in our
title deed
country.
for that land in the name of
We should not allow this
the
to
PS
continue happening
finance.
cyclically.
I did not do it in the name of Busia County government.
Let
because
us
I knew
find a lasting
the county
solution to
government
this
messed up with that
problem.
land. They had no capacity to
We are
invest
ready
in
to
843
engage so that we
acres.
find a
So I
solution
registered
to
in the
this
name of the
problem.
national government. I gave the title deed back to
As
the
a
national
mere,
government.
okay, okay.
Then I went back and I began fighting.
With those
to recover
many
the
remarks,
airstrip land.
Excellency,
That's where
now
the
may
work
I
is
have
right
the
now.
pleasure to
And
invite
I've been able to
my
establish
brother, President William
the
Ruto,
acreage of the airstrip
to address you.
from the map
Thank
I got from the survey of Kenya. And now all those title deeds.
I think before I
are
make,
lined up
just hold on.
being quashed.
Before
Initially,
I make
the
some
Attorney General
remarks,
did not support
I have
the case,
listened very carefully
but
to
now
the
the Attorney
leaders,
General has
carefully
filed
to the
again,
leaders who
has
spoke
filed an affidavit
as
in that case
it should be.
that is even beyond what
But let
I
me
defined,
ask my deputy
showing
to
how
make
that land
a
is public land.
few remarks
with the treaties between the
so
Kenya
that
government,
I can conclude.
between the colonial
Mr.
government
Deputy President.
and the local chiefs and what have you around there. I didn't have that good documentation.
Your Excellency, our
Because the
President,
documentation I had was from the
Dr. William Ruto,
personal narrative. So the AG
Your
has done an
Excellency, the
excellent
former
job.
Prime Minister,
I don't know if the
Your
changes
Excellency, the former Vice President,
but they have
the
filed an
leadership of our
affidavit
two houses,
that
members
has
of
now
the
taken
executive,
where I sit.
and the
I can say
press.
that there's no way that land
Your
is
Excellency,
made in private hands.
This is a
the
great
record
morning
here
for this
shows
country
It's public land
because
and it's 30 acres
the
of
constitution of the
land. Now the
IEBC
question
is a great step
can that land still
for our
be used as an
democracy.
airstrip?
I want to thank you for the leadership
And my
that you have
position
accorded this country
is that it may not
in
be
difficult
viable for an
times,
airstrip because around it,
and you are
because it was neglected,
acceding
private developers were
to have
taking
the
land
report that was
have
bipartisan
put up
is a great step
story buildings.
in the right direction in
Also,
this
it's
country.
right on the border. The aircraft have to
In the
fly
situation we are
very
in,
airspace sometimes
we want to call upon the people of
before it
Kenya
can get the,
that
can get the
violence
height it needs to fly.
begets violence.
Also, it has to go to Uganda
Now that the
airspace
president
when it wants to land.
has accepted
Land.
our discussion
So we may need to look for alternative land
with our young population, with our
where
leaders,
the airport can,
we
then
call upon the
it's
people
an
of
airport,
Kenya
not an airspace, because
to give
it can cover
dialogue a
Eastern
chance,
Uganda,
to give
it can
consultation
cover
a
Uganda,
chance,
Eastern Congo,
get off
and
the
Sudan. You
streets,
can have an international airport
stay away
there,
from destruction of
which will
property,
bring a lot of revenues from
because
this country.
Kenya is greater than all of
Instead
us.
of talking about an
And I
airport,
think,
an
Your
airport, we have an
Excellency,
airport, and there's land
you have the
available.
capacity to lead us in
But
that
then
direction,
once the land, once
where there is
I decide to give
consultation,
my case, and I hope I
and all
will, the land
Kenyans
is
are
covered
able
and stored to
to
the county
agree
government.
on the way forward.
The 30 acres
With
that
those few
the
remarks,
airstrip sits on,
it's my duty to ask Your Excellency to address the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President.
be used to replan Busia town. Busia,
Your Excellencies,
and then maybe
Mr. Vice President, former Prime Minister, former Vice President, the two speakers of our National Assembly and Senate, leaders of majority, fellow leaders present here.
But it's not impossible. It may just take a bit longer.
Welcome to this occasion. The National Dialogue Committee, established last year, resulted from the closing of ranks across the political divide, forged consensus on a number of priority national issues, including the reconstitution of the IEBC. Today's assent of the IEBC Amendment Bill therefore marks a significant step in the actualization of one of the recommendations of NADCO and testifies to our country's ability to navigate difficult, complex, and sometimes divisive issues that could undermine our national cohesion, undermine our stability and security if we leave it unattended. The signing of this bill paves way for the establishment of the selection panel for the appointment of IEBC commissioners. The IEBC remains a cornerstone of our democracy, responsible for overseeing regular elections at various levels, and on the overall, ensuring that our electoral cycle is managed transparently and administered in an impartial, neutral, efficient, accurate, and accountable manner. I concur with leaders who have said there must be professionalism and integrity as part of the cardinal principles of the men and women who will be charged with the responsibility of overseeing our elections. The spirit of NASTCO is the spirit of unity, bipartisanship, and consensus building, values which have helped our nation overcome its most challenging moments. Even as I assent to this bill, I look forward to supporting and facilitating any other outputs of the national consensus that was NADCO to ensure that Kenya moves forward and with as many hands on deck as is possible. The leadership of Parliament, both on the majority and minority sides, have heard what the leaders here have said, and they should proceed with dispatch and expedite the other recommendations that are contained in the NADCO report and process the necessary bills and interventions that are necessary for us to actualize the output of that report. Beyond NADCO, we are currently engaged in discussions as a country about our economy. As we know, the country has faced a series of economic shocks, including COVID-19 pandemic, globally high interest rates, and devastating droughts and floods, events which have impacted negatively on our economy and our capacity to secure resources for development and to also meet our debt service obligations. In the last 2 years, we have put in our best efforts to mobilize domestic and external resources to accelerate our economic program, pull the country back from the danger of debt distress, and set us on a path of economic transformation. These efforts have strengthened the Kenya shilling, reduced fuel prices at the pump, and lowered the cost of living, including the cost of essential household commodities. This year, my administration presented revenue-raising measures through the Finance Bill 2024, which were aimed at not only consolidating the economic recovery program, but also propelling the country to the next phase of investing in key social and economic infrastructure projects to advance our development agenda and reduce on our debt burden. However, many voices expressed disapproval of these proposals, leading me to drop the bill and terminate the process. It therefore means that, apart from the people of Kenya asking us to consider alternative means of raising revenue, which I agree with, there is general consensus that the country requires to confront and address long-standing priority national issues, including national debt, public expenditure, and anti-corruption measures, so as to release resources for creating opportunities, creating jobs, and creating wealth.
My argument has always been this.
As a way of charting the future from the current situation we are facing,
there must be a formula
I welcome all
connecting
the leaders
two.
here, and I have heard what they have
And
said
maybe one should not
this
be more
morning,
than 10 times the other one.
and all other stakeholders
Right time now is n times.
working together
And if we
for
did
us
that,
to
and we cut
address
the salaries of
the
public,
current
we
economic
make them
situation
interrelated.
through a broad-based
The lowest paid public
political
officer
arrangement
and the salary of
and
the
to
highest
rally
paid public officer,
the
there's a
country
correlation and maybe there's a
forward,
formula
as
determining
has been
those salaries.
said by
We'll
the
get
former
away
Prime
from this
Minister.
issue whereby some people are paying
And therefore,
astronomical
we
salaries,
have yet another opportunity as a country,
and
Kenya
other
being
parts,
the
and some
resilient people we always
hardly
are,
get anything to do.
to come together
And tied to that,
and
we
figure
must also
out
get to a position whereby
the future of our country
public
in
institutions
a manner
get away from the
that makes sure that we
should not
address
be allowed to subcontract
the existential
labor.
challenges and threats
Look at
that face our nation.
guards working for many government institutions.
And that's the reason why
They
I set
issue a
up
tender. Somebody has gotten some very poor,
committee
desperate Kenyans,
to work
train them how to
and
manage,
audit
put them in a
our
crowd, a
debt
crowd of somehow, some sorts is held.
for us to interrogate our expenditure
With NSSF,
and for us
NSSF
to
pays
work on anti-corruption.
maybe 25,000
I want to
shillings per
encourage
security
Parliament
guard to this
to
company.
expedite
This company goes and pays 10,000 shillings to
the
this person.
conflict of interest
No
bill
benefits, nothing else.
that will support
This person lives
our
in Kuala,
anti-corruption
but is
measures,
exploited,
especially
is under slavery.
in relation to public officers.
We might need to reach to a point where we
And
say
I
that
am
the
hopeful
government cannot
that these are some of the
subcontract
conversations
for labor.
that
It
we
wants
will
to
be
hire
engaged
security
in
guards,
going
government
forward.
agencies, hire
I am very
people
confident
at
that, as
and
always,
pay them those wages we are paying
Kenya
the private
knows how to pull
contractors
together, and
and give
leaders
them benefits
know how to come together
that are
in the
contractual.
best interest,
So that when they
not
at
on
the end of
individu-
the
not
day,
of
they know
individuals,
they have something to take home, they know they have something
not
like
of
this.
parties,
Not the government itself
but the
facilitating
collective
exploitation
body
and
of the
abuse
Kenyan people.
of its labor
And I
resources.
look forward
Just
to
because
working
something called
with
tenders,
leaders,
tenders.
as I have said,
Everybody's tendering.
going
The
forward
government supply. It's just
on a
crazy.
broad-based
Even the
political
Minister of Work
mechanism
today,
that will see us
I don't know if
steer
they
the
own a
country
single earth mover.
to the future. Thank you very much.
Where is the time where the Minister of Work constructed roads,
To
constructed
all the
roads?
leaders here, asanteni sana,
On the
to the
cheap.
people of
What
Kenya,
happened?
wish you well, and
We
God
look
bless
at
our
billions
great
of shillings
country.
spent on roads.
Asante.
I don't know why can the ministry do it? And then we are contracting China road and bridges, which is a government parastatal in China. Your government is contracting a parastatal from another country to come and do roads. What the hell is wrong with us? Today, if a disaster happened and a building collapsed in Nairobi,
New Superstay Skin Tint with vitamin C from Maybelline, New York. Turn up your skin with bright, skin-like coverage. Formula with vitamin C. Up to 24-hour wear. New Superstay Skin Tint, Maybelline, New York.